Now let's have a conversation about election violence, and I do have a combination of gentlemen for this particular one. We do have the treasurer for NUP, Benjamin Katana Council. He is in Mbarara. Kituma Rusoke, he is a spokesperson for the police force, and Joseph Ocheno, a political pundit and a commentator. First and foremost, Council Benjamin Katana, just very briefly, what exactly happened and what is the situation at the moment?
Well, good evening, Samson and the viewers of NBS. Today we conducted our first rally at the playground of Mbarara High School in Mbarara City, and we are headed for our two rallies in Mbarara district, that is at Wizugera and Ruvindi. Unfortunately, we were laid by the security forces. A number of us were assaulted. A number of people were arrested, especially the young people from Mbarara town, who, out of excitement and love, were following the candidate. Many of us have been assaulted, including myself and our other leaders. You have seen ladies who were undressed by the police officers, and this coming on the heels of what transpired the other day at Sanga in Chiruhura. Clearly, you see that there is a choreographed strategy by the security forces, of course working at the behest of the NRM and its candidate, to frustrate and curtail our movement and campaigns. By strategy and character, the NRM thrives largely by instilling fear in the population, and they carry out these activities to reinforce that fear. They know that our activities have the impact on the population in making them firm and bold in standing up for their country and what they believe in. So we condemn in the strongest terms possible the criminal conduct of the security forces. And I have had, while on this call, the explanation from the Secretary General of the NRM. I think the NRM is being dishonest in respect how they are dealing with this matter, because the people that were captured on camera involved in this exercise involve one of the leaders of NRM in the area, the mayor of Sanga, and the other leaders from that region. You have seen explanations from the political leadership of Chiruhura district clearly indicating that the actions were sanctioned by the party leadership at that level. It is also very evident from the involvement of police at the scene and subsequently the way they came and arrested our people, the victims. It clearly shows that the criminal conduct of those fellows at Sanga had the sanctioning of both the party and the government. So clearly, these are not incidents that are accidental. They are part of a bigger strategy to undermine our campaign, to instill fear in the population as a way of undermining this process.
Spokesperson of the police, Officer Kituma Rusoke, number one, how is it possible that individuals whose faces are all over social media behaved the way they did in what the Electoral Commission calls illegal in Chiruhura, and up to now, they are unarrested? They're not yet arrested. And number two, what exactly prompted what happened in Mbarara and Mbarara City?
Thank you, Ndugu. I think let me answer the last question first. Why did police do what it did? We came out all along warning our brothers that there was a certain way in which they were conducting themselves that was not tolerable. There are a number of things that have not been going on the campaign trail, but as police and other security agencies, we have tried as much as possible to restrain ourselves. Now, specifically on these arrests, the cases against which we have against the persons we arrested are very, very clear. They are in the open. There was an attack on officers of police. Vehicles of police were vandalized. We raised these matters before them. We have been before the Electoral Commission with them, raising these issues, telling them that exploit our conduct, our restraint, the manner in which we are trying to approach this election, and they have always taken it for a joke.
So what you're saying is that you had a list of individuals you were tracking and you are looking for, and these are the ones you were out there to get.
They have been attacking officers and moving back to their crowds. We have been profiling them. Of course, there are those who were arrested today because of interfering with the operational process. And I guess everybody knows that when you interfere with an officer who is on duty, you also become culpable.
Okay.
But what I want to make very, very clear here is that there are specific allegations against the persons arrested.
Okay.
And we came looking for them. We have warned them before. They have not taken the heed to the warning. And this is when we came in and acted.
Of course, police has been improving over the time, but is there an apology for some of the images that were seen during the operation of body parts of individuals showing? Is that something that is regrettable?
I have not watched those images, so I may not be in position to make a comment.
I'll come back to you, officer. Mr. Joseph Ochieno, everybody had said that the campaign had gone on smoothly, but some were saying that it takes two to tango, partly because also the candidates and their supporters were behaving in a manner that did not elicit the operations of the force. Having heard from Nup Katana and from the police spokesperson, what's your take?
Indeed, and also having watched some of the clips. I'll tell you that I'm very disappointed this evening. You know that I think I've been told this program of yours that we were yet to blow candles for celebrations because this election cycle is not going to be seeing violence, we thought, and it was not going to see bloodshed, we thought, and I think we celebrated rather too early. I'm just very quickly concerned about the observation by Officer Rusoke, particularly on the conduct of the members of political activists, in this case, NUP. I'm not quite sure because, as I said, I was also coming from upcountry earlier today from where I saw rather much more muted, organized campaigning taking place within my corners of Nagongera for various political positions. So I didn't expect I would be finding this. I don't know how that would involve the detention of a political party leader. I talk as somebody who's got interest in these elections, not beyond the fact that I should really be a candidate for president, but simply because my political party was the political party that in 1980 saw an election in which people talked about election rigging. I was the first-time voter in 1980 in Nagongera, and I carried the UPM flag very freely from Nagongera Trading Center to my home in a predominantly, in fact, nearly exclusively UPC space. I do not remember having anybody challenge me on that. I find it extraordinary that this is something that should happen in my country, that anywhere in this country there are restrictions for candidates to go and for political party flags.
But Joseph, he does make a point suggesting that whereas it is true that it is election season and it is campaign season, it does not mean that people do not commit offenses for which the police has to make arrests. And not too long ago, the police complained that its vehicle had been vandalized and equipment had been lost. Perhaps during those investigations, there were individuals they have been looking for. Should the police just let those individuals off the hook because it is campaign season and that it will be seen in bad light?
Absolutely not, and I'm not suggesting otherwise. Actually, I'm very tough on law and order as far as I am, and indeed the political party that I represent outside these commentaries. I'm simply saying that if it is the case that members of NUP were involved and they're suspects, they should be arrested, they should be arraigned in court, and they should be treated accordingly. I'm just simply saying I do not have sufficient information linking to what I just watched before coming on air on how Robert then becomes a direct target to this. But that said, really, let me say this as a political leader. I have spent time campaigning for return to pluralism in this country, and so has my party. I substantially and completely reject the idea that election times, instead of us talking about bad roads in Nigeria, we are talking about policing or failure of candidates. It's absolutely the responsibility of political party leaders, and this led by Mr. Museveni, candidate Museveni, because he is the big candidate as president of this country.
Okay.
The tone must come from him, but the tone must also come from Robert Chagulanyi, and indeed all political party leaders as candidates, and political party leaders at district and lower levels, that violence is unacceptable, so that they create an enabling environment in which the police does its policing role.
Okay. Councillor Benjamin Katana, the police is saying that its equipment was vandalized, their equipment has been vandalized, and that some of your supporters that you may or may not know, but the police does know them, have pressed the police for far too long. A vehicle, the police complained about a vehicle that had been vandalized and its equipment went missing, and that they are coming looking for these individuals that are responsible for those actions. Do you have any problem with the police looking for individuals that have crossed the red line?
I think, Simon, Samson, the point is that enforcement is not a licensed criminality. I have given you information regarding the assault on citizens against whom there are no allegations. Indeed, even if there were any allegations against them, it did not call for that criminal conduct of police. But number two, enforcement of the law by Uganda Police Force must be conducted within the confines of the law. And I think the officer in studio and his colleagues must be reminded that they are not law unto themselves. But two is that every time any security agencies today and in history have descended into criminal activities, they must always find excuses. When State Research Bureau was abducting people, they had similar flimsy excuses. If there are people that have committed any crimes, they can be arrested, but while doing it, police must not break the law. I have given you an example that I was personally assaulted by a police officer. Am I also being investigated for assaulting police officers or for vandalizing their property? I think whatever excuses they have, they cannot justify in any way unnecessary disruption of our campaign programs, unnecessary assault and brutalization of citizens, whether they belong to NUP or any other party. But also there is a context that this has not just happened. The other day it was at Sanga in Chiruhura. Today it was on Mbarara Ibanda Road. Clearly you see that there is a clear choreographed strategy that is aimed, and we have missed 2 rallies today while other candidates are campaigning. Clearly you see that there is a choreographed strategy that is aimed at undermining our mobilization, that is aimed at undermining our campaigns. The flimsy excuses that police is relying on, notwithstanding, it is very clear that the police force has chosen to take a side in this context. It is unlawful, it is regrettable, but we want to give confidence to the people of Uganda that these are not signs of strength, but signs of weakness. Because if our opponent clearly had support of the population, he would not be engaging in using state institutions to do politics. But we are going to continue moving and marching forward. We will not be stopped.
Thank you. Officer Kituma Rusoke, he's on record that you chose not to comment about the Nkoni welding men and why they are not arrested. You chose not to comment.
Let me say this. First and foremost, whatever you saw in Chiruhura is under investigation.
Okay.
Yes.
That's enough.
Let me add this. There are people who have been thinking that we shall be using tear gas and throwing Molotovs in a disproportionate manner and affecting public life. We are not going to do that as Uganda Police Force.
Okay.
We shall make sure that we hold individuals accountable, because we are cognizant of the fact that there are so many peaceful persons who are even victims to actions of just small cabals.
Okay.
Thank you.
Officer Kituma Rusoke from the Uganda Police Force.